Last week, apparently the thematic of the movie was toys. We have Toy Story 4 and then Child's Play. But apparently the thematic of toys still kept on this week. Actually, with only one movie. A movie that, to be fair, I wasn't looking up for it. And that movie is none other than Annabelle Comes Home, the third movie of the Annabelle movies, as well as another one of those Conjuring Universe movies, which I already tell you about my feelings on about these kind of movies in La Llorona, in which I'm more interested on the background of the story and the history behind all these cases more than the movies themselves. The movies, the only thing that they do is just wake up my peak interest on the cases behind it. Nothing else, because as well done as the movies get progressively done, it also gets progressively dumber and dumber. Because again, I can see that they're forcing themselves some kind of horror cinematic universe that doesn't deserve to be a horror universe. It just kind of more deserves to be kind of like a time capsule of some interesting subjects on the real life horrors. And mostly I think that the Conjuring Universe stuff, I will consider it that this is probably this millennia's Amityville horror. They come out with very, very stupid movies, although, well, people still like it, and this is the reason they came up with 3 Annabelle movies up to this date. But let's concentrate on the Annabelle movies, at least on this chapter, because to give you a little bit of a recap of my opinion on the Annabelle films is that I freaking hate, really hate how the doll is depicted, because the Annabelle doll is not exactly how like what the movie looks like. Like this really creepy ventriloquist doll that nobody in their right mind will want to keep it. And the first movie wasn't that good. It was actually downright mediocre. The second movie was a little bit of a step up. But I still kind of raise my eyebrows just because, again, the Annabelle doll doesn't look like that. It's a Raggedy Ann doll. And now we come with this third movie in which, in my opinion, like, guys, you're just pushing too hard. Because there's not much to say about the Annabelle doll. It just, there's not much story involved into it. I mean, and the Amityville horror even tried to push things a little bit too hard when the fourth movie came out, in which it doesn't involve the house. It just involves possessed lamp. No, seriously. So what do I think about the third movie? First off, let me tell you a little bit about what they decided to do with this movie. So this movie, again, it tries to link all the previous movies with none other than the paranormal investigators, the Warrens. The Warrens was a husband and wife couple that they investigated some famous paranormal activities. I think they do included the Amityville horror, and they are the ones that they collected all these cursed items and they put them into one room. And by the way, this is true. It's a true story. It's a true story that they kept. Ed Warren died years ago, and funnily enough, I think it was a week before or after La Llorona came out, Lorraine Warren passed away this year. So So right on the get-go, I'll say rest in peace, Lorraine Warren. I don't consider themselves technically hoax because I am open to any kind of doubt or skepticism over paranormal activity because it's something that we cannot know, but it could be there. But anyway, this movie, it does kind of begin kind of like a prologue with the Annabelle doll, the creepy Annabelle doll, that is given to the Warrens, and well, and guess what? The Ed and Lorraine Warren in the movie, played by, what was the name of the actors? Patrick Wilson and Vera Farmiga. They're kind of secondary character because they don't appear. The funny thing is that these two were the main characters and technically the heroes of the Conjuring film. But this movie, Annabelle Comes Home, the protagonism or the heroine is actually given to their daughter. And by the way, yes, their daughter lives, is still alive, and they do have a daughter, Judy Warren. In this case movie, she's played by Makina Grace. You can admit that for a lonely, for an only child to live up with parents that are paranormal activists and to hold out these things, I'm very curious to know how she thinks about them, and if she thinks in high regards, good for her. I had to investigate that. Well, this move, usually in these, in the Conjuring films, they always have the daughter always living alone. The parents always leave her in the house with all these horrible things happening, and she see all these ghostly things. Because apparently Lorraine and Judy themselves apparently have psychic powers. And well, I don't know. I will be creeped out if I live near a house of a doll who almost every movie it tries to kill me. Yeah, nice parenting. Nice parenting, Warrens. Although I don't blame them, the real parents. I blame them how the movie is handled. Funny enough that I've been talking more about the backstory when I should be talking about the movie. Because the movie, it feels, unlike the other ones, it feels kind of like a really, really unnecessary movie that they just only did it for the cash grab. There is a little bit of heart in it, but considering what the plot is, it comes out really, really dumb. Kind of like they decided to create their own fan fiction of the Annabelle stories. In this case, the story involves that is Judy's birthday. Well, it's about to be Judy's birthday after a week, and the Warrens are going somewhere, so they leave Judy to the care of the babysitter named Mary Ellen. She's played by Madison Iceman. And well, Judy is, during school, she's always look up at the freaky child because, well, her parents are paranormal activists and there are skepticism around them. Even one of the skeptics, it is this high school girl named Daniela, played by Katie Sarifa, I think it was called. Yeah, Katie Sarifa. Well, the babysitter, Mary Ellen, decides to take care of Judy, which they have a nice relationship, and Daniela just drop in and say, "Hey, I'm here to check out on you, make friends with you, even though my brother, he kind of tries to bully you, but you know what, I'm here." She is kind of really, really bitchy about it, really, really skeptical, and because of her big curiosity, she enters the alleged haunted evil room of the Warren, and she just begins to touch everything. Even she opens the Annabelle doll cabinet, and from that point, the movie then kind of turns into the typical haunted house movie, in which some evil is released into the house and crazy things happen. Same, kind of like a very, very basic haunted house movie. And for and I gotta admit that from that point, this is where the movie, it kind of becomes campy. It's so campy that it's kind of fun, I will say. If you're in the right mood. If you're not in the right mood, you're gonna get bored. But still in my head, it was like, this movie has a lot of bullshit compared to the real story. So yeah, I highly recommend you to watch the archives and the story behind it, because this is more interesting than any of those movies it is. But if you're into the mood of watching a movie that it takes itself a little bit too seriously, it takes the creative liberty a little bit high up in the air, you're gonna find some enjoyment. But there are some things that I do really want to talk to you about it. Let's break down a little bit some of the positive things. First off, the acting is really good. Even the girl who plays Judy Warren, what was the name again? Makina Grace. She's actually good in the role that she's given. She's not exactly stoic, let's say, but they try to keep a little bit on a kind of like a more, kind of like a cemented mood, I'll say, considering that. But she didn't come off kind of being like a lifeless character. The other characters are also fine, and I'm actually surprised that the movie kind of started off us not liking Daniela Rios, the Katie Sarifi, again, Sarifa character, because she started out being really this annoying, condescending bitch that you see in these kind of movies, saying, hell yeah, you know what their parents saying about you? I want to look at it. And then she does a lot of bitchy things when she enters the Warren's house, and kind of uninvited. And then she just kind of begins to say some smarmy stuff, trying to look for the key for the forbidden room. And she begins to touch everything, and she even opens the Annabelle cabinet, where it clearly said, do not open this cabinet. You know, there is a reason why they have this sign, and you stupidly do it, and because if you didn't, but of course you did it, because if you didn't do it, there wouldn't be any movie. Yeah, there's kind of like, there was this moment, of course, that she was looking for the keys of the evil room, in which she goes around the Warren's office, and she can't find the keys, and she's like, oh man, I'm frustrated. She then looks at that picture of a Jesus Christ, and she's like, don't look at me like that. Oh, how convenient! The keys were on the back of the Jesus picture, and she was like, amen to that. But in my mind, it's like God has spoken, and she will punish this girl for her misdeeds. But the funny thing is that she's not the one who gets punished. Almost everybody in the house gets haunted, and like typical of these bad ghost movies, in which they just want to make scare just to make them feel scared. The ghost has every type of opportunity, every moment, to kill off the characters, but they don't do it. They just do it just to make kind of like a cheap laugh. And when they kind of do it, in my mind, it's like, you know what? This movie shouldn't be called Annabelle Comes Home, because, yeah, Annabelle is kind of like the source of the evil, but you see kind of like other things that are roaming around the house. Like, for example, they kind of talk about the corpses that in ancient times they put coins in their eyes so they can pay the ferryman. They talk about the haunted locker. At one point they also talk about a cursed samurai sword. In which, why do I get the feeling that this is gonna be kind of like a sneak peek for a new movie about it? There is kind of like also the haunted wedding dress, a haunted TV, a lot of stuff. So in my mind, this movie shouldn't be called Annabelle Comes Home. This movie should have been called where the Warren's House of Horrors. Apart from the girls, another character that feels insignificant because he doesn't appear too much is this pretty boy named Bob. Bob, played by Michael Cimino. Not gonna lie, the guy is handsome, and he's in love with the Marianne character. Marianne, the character who played by what was it? Madison Isela, Mary Ellen. I mean, and yeah, he's the pretty boy who just goes into the house and he tries to play the guitar and all that stuff, and then he gets scared away by the horrors of the Annabelle doll. In this case, they're kind of like the Wolfman. Which, now that I think of it, this kind of begs the question: is the Annabelle doll curse is so powerful enough to control the other haunted items that there are in the house? That's kind of stupid, but again, this is probably a lot of cinematic things that you kind of do in this kind of movies. One of the biggest what the frick moments that I had with this movie is that they order a pizza. Mary Ellen kind of orders a pizza, and a pizza that just took hours to come. And we had this scene with this delivery boy who kind of looks like the love child of Weird Al and Trey Parker, Matt Stone. The one who had the bushy hair. I don't remember which one of the South Park creator was that. But this guy kind of acts so stoned out of his mind. He's like, oh yeah, you got a lover, isn't it? So here's your pizza, minus one slice. And this guy was like, he was stoned. I don't know if this that was kind of like the most mesmerizing thing than all of the ghosts combined of this film. Why don't we follow this guy? I want to know his life. And speaking of scares, I wanna say that one of the few things that I can praise a little bit about this movie is that they are a little bit, well, they're resourceful on delivering their jump scares. Although sometimes the jump scares now at this point is kind of really hit or miss. They're not exactly good, they're not exactly bad. The ambience looks great, the darkness looks great. They do know how to create the situation where it is. And when it comes to the climax, I'll say, they do put all the elements that it will take a time to talk about it, but yeah, it comes into play, you know, the guy with the coins on the head and the samurai sword, and even a board game that they were playing, in which I gotta admit that even the effects they're not bad, I'll say. Oh, but I do want to say one thing that, in my mind, it kind of pissed me off, in which, after the pizza scene, we see Judy eating her pizza and watching a kind of like a game show, because the movie takes place in the 70s and they wanted to push every 70s reference that they can come up with. There was the scene again of the game show. She's watching it, and what happens almost before the TV kind of turns off because of Annabelle, we see that the game show host, it gives the little girl of the family a Raggedy Ann doll. Movie? I don't know if this is your intention to troll me. You're trolling me, movie. If you're gonna say, oh, we couldn't make the Annabelle doll the Raggedy Ann because of copyright. Bullshit! In the last movie you did the same to me. That you give this girl a Raggedy Ann, and now you show up with this Raggedy Ann doll given to this little girl. the Annabelle doll is really a Raggedy Ann doll. So don't. So I feel troll at that moment. And this movie was indeed trying to troll me. And finally, I want to talk to you that it does have a little bit of a kind of like a. I have to say that a nice climax, I will say. I'm not exactly talking about how they get rid of the ghost and all this stuff, but in a little bit, going to a little bit on a spoilerish thing. The character of Daniela, I did mention that she was acting kind of bitchy at the beginning, but as the movie kind of progresses, we see that she is indeed has a character with a flaw. I kind of forgot to mention that, in which it is revealed that her curiosity to the paranormal and all that stuff is that she lost her father not a long time ago, and she feels guilty about it because her father died in an accident and she was the one who was driving, and she feels that her father spiritually is blaming her. I do remember that there is technically kind of like a good jump scare in which well, she has to picture her father. She put it on a lock, and I think, and then when she's kind of like in a haunted room, she hears the piano. She hears the piano, and she sees in the mirror. She sees kind of like the kind-hearted father. But then she turns around, even the camera turns around, only to see him, the guy, mangled without one eye. And she's like, "You did this to me!" Silly, but effective, I'll say. Although probably I'll say that the best scare involves her watching kind of like a TV in the future, but I am dragging this on. The thing is that she has this guilt over the death of her father. And after everything is well done and all the stuff, and after the big climax, we kind of jump. I think it was a month or a week later, in which we finally see the actor playing the Warrens finally having the adequate birthday party for Judy, and I think we get actually this tender moment in which Lorraine Warren invites Danielle to basically the haunted room in daylight, even though at that moment she's like, "No, I'm not stepping on there." But she kind of she tells her that it is okay that her father doesn't blame her because she's psychic also. And one of the most beautiful scenes that at least I can give credit to this movie is when she says that even though this room is full of evil, it made me realize how beautiful the outside world is. So you don't have to. So you have to cherish everything. And honestly, I think that this scene, I think this is probably ad-libbed. This was probably added at the last minute. Why I get this feeling? Well, it's because the movie kind of closes up with a picture of the actors playing the Warrens, and then it makes a transition to the real life picture of the Warren family. You know, Ed, Lorraine, and Judy Warren. It is a nice picture in the real life portrait, and we get the memory to Lorraine Warren, because of course she passed away this year. But honestly, I would say this. It was I can admit that they give a little bit of touching moment for these few minutes, especially for a movie that it wasn't about Lorraine Warren. It was more about Judy Warren's shenanigan adventures inside the house. And yeah, this is basically kind of like a summer blockbuster haunted house movie that didn't necessarily need it to be with. In one way, it is kind of like a rental killing time, but in the other way, it feels like it kind of tarnished the real life stories, which again I find it more fascinating. And that's my humble opinion of Annabelle comes home. I'm not exactly a guy who can recommend it fully, so there are other movies better than this. I only highly recommend you to watch the real life story. These are more interesting than, well, that. I don't know if I know that the haunted room is. I don't know if it's still now open in public now that Lorraine Warren died. I don't know who is taking care of that place, but well, not much. Not much I have to say, but that's all. But that's all. Still, seriously, it's a Raggedy Ann doll!